Hello, everyone. All righty. Can everybody hear me okay? Just want to make sure we can all hear me. Okay, good. So today we're going to actually be starting working on our game using some of the concepts that we learned yesterday about variables and functions and so forth. And we have a lot to get through. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get started, but and I'll just say hi to everybody that I see in there. This is Hartley and Kanan and Haley and Aurora. Hello, everyone. It's good to see all of you. And Kanan, you will find out very shortly what we're going to be making. And so here's the thing is, hello, Luke and Ryan. We are going to be, no, Lorna, we just started. Don't worry, we haven't started anything yet. We're going to have a lot to go through, but here's the thing. I don't want you to worry if you get stuck or you get left behind or something like that, because I don't want anybody to get like left behind, but I do want to make sure that we can still keep moving forward as much as possible. So I will send out a video just like I sent out for yesterday. It will go over everything we covered today. And if we don't get to everything we need to, it'll cover that as well. So it might be a small homework assignment. We'll see how far we get. But that way you'll have a video. You can watch it later. You can pause it. You can go through it as slowly or as quickly as you'd like. And you can also email me questions if you have any questions. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, so everybody should be up and running with Pico 8 in front of them. Milo, that's great. You were able to fix it. Good job. And getting to the bonus videos. That's good. Okay, so what we're going to do is if you just started up Pico 8, it should look like this. And I want you to type this. Type save space snake and hit enter. And it should say saved snake. So I'm going to give everybody a second to do that. You should type save space snake and hit enter. Yes, Kanan, we are making a snake game. This is a very famous game that lots of people have played, and it's actually a lot of fun. So if you've got it saved, then you're ready to go. So hit escape, and it will go into here. And then, so hit escape and it will load up the coding screen. And this is where we're going to start coding. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we need to add our really basic 3 functions, the ones we talked about yesterday. So we're going to type those in. Function underscore init, parenthesis, parenthesis, and then end. Then function underscore update, parenthesis, parenthesis, and then end. Then function underscore draw, parenthesis, parenthesis, and then end. And remember, what it's going to do is it'll run everything inside here. It'll run everything inside here one time at the beginning. Then it will run everything inside update and everything inside draw 30 times a second. So it'll go init, update, draw, update, draw, update, draw. So the first thing we need to do is we need a map for our snake game. So I'm going to leave this on the screen here so everybody can just make sure they can finish typing it in. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of this and put it over in the background here so that if you still need a second to finish it, you should still be able to see it in the background. So give me 1 second. I'm going to put this in the background so that you can all see it. And I'm probably going to put it over my face because you don't need to see my face. Okay, I'm going to put it right there so that we can keep going, but that way you can still see it, okay? All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is, hello, Brenna. We haven't done anything except for save our game and type this in. So if you just started, what I want you to do, and you started and it looks like this, you should type save space snake and then hit enter so it saves it. And then after you type save space snake and hit enter, and it says saved snake, hit escape, and you will start up in this code right here, okay? Now, You won't see this code because we just typed this in, but I put this code over here so that you can still see what it is while we go do the next thing, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the sprite editor because we need to make sprites for our map. We need to make pieces of art for our map. So I'm gonna click down here into number 16. That's this one right underneath the little sparkle sprite. And let's make some grass. It's gonna be really easy. We're just gonna take green and use our paint bucket and go bloop and fill it in with green. Okay, Brenda, no problem. So if anybody's joining late, I did mention this at the beginning, but don't worry if you get stuck behind a little bit or you're not, or there's like something you're really stuck on, because I will be making a video for today that covers everything we're doing today, just so that everybody can follow along and keep up, all right? So even if you aren't right with us, still follow along, watch what we're doing, but if you need to wait to do all the typing and stuff like that later, that's totally fine with me. I don't want you to feel too bad if you're feeling like you're getting behind. So the first thing we did is down here into Sprite 16, we used the paint bucket and went bloop and made a big green thing. And that's gonna be grass. That's where the snake can go. Then we'll make another one where I'm gonna fill it with green first, but I'm gonna go here and pick gray, and I'm gonna draw a wall. So I'm gonna draw the inside like this, and then I'm gonna draw the backside with dark gray. I'm gonna draw like this, and then I'm gonna draw the outside like that. There we go. And actually, I'm gonna put green back in the corners because that kind of, I don't know, I think it looks a little cooler. It looks more like a block. If you click on 16, just click on the one right underneath the sparkle. Just click down here. And that will go here. Then you can use the paint bucket with green and go bloop and then fill it in. And then if you click on the one next to it, that goes to number 17 and allows you can use the pencil tool and draw this. So I'm gonna give everybody a chance to draw this for a second, so that this is what we're gonna use for our map, okay? Okay. So these should be pretty easy to draw. They're not too complicated. It's just, you know, just a green splotch and then a wall. And you can make these look however you want. You don't have to make them look like mine. You could use, you know, bluegrass if you want to, or you could use, you know, an orange wall or something, whatever you want. It's gonna be your snake game. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the map editor. That's this one next to the sprite editor up top here. Okay, so we're gonna click on that. And this allows us to use these sprites to draw and paint. And so what we're gonna do is, starting up in the corner, we're just gonna fill this whole screen with green like this. And then we're gonna go back to the pencil tool and we're going to draw walls like this down the bottom. And then other walls like this. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna, instead of drawing across the top here, we're going to draw one below it, okay? And then we're gonna use the eraser tool. That's this one, the number 0, the sparkle. And we're gonna use that and we're gonna draw straight across here, okay? Yes, I will go a little bit slower. So I'm gonna give everybody a chance to draw this on the screen. So remember, the pencil tool is one tile at a time, but the paint bucket tool, if you pick a tile and you click, it goes bloop and fills in the whole thing. How do we get here? Up at the top, up at the very top, this is the map editor. Yes, I'll go back to the wall for a sec so you guys can all see that. If you want to use the eraser, Sean, use sprite 0, which is that little white X sparkle thing. It's the one at 0. It's this one right here. That's the eraser sprite for the map. It doesn't even matter if you change what this sprite is. Even if you put like a happy face in here, it will still use it as an eraser. But we just don't use it as a sprite because we like to keep it as an eraser. All right, so here's my wall. You guys can all follow that. And again, it doesn't need to look like my wall. You can make it look like whatever you want. If you just want a big, you know, blue blop on the screen, that's okay too. So you should just have these two sprites. And then I'm gonna click right up here. You see right here? Up here, this little grid thing, that's the map tool. So I'm gonna click on it. And that goes to the map tool. And I can use the paint bucket just like I did before to like fill everything in green. And then I can use my click on the wall, but go to my pencil tool, which is right here. And I can use the pencil tool to draw these individual walls like this. And remember, I'm not doing the one across the top. I'm skipping that because we're going to use that to show like what level we're on and all that kind of stuff. So just draw what you have here. Dean, I can't restart the whole thing because we have a lot to get through, but I did mention I'm going to be making a video that covers everything that we're going to go over today, and you will be able to follow along. Lorna, if you want to erase, use the sprite number 0. I'll put it in the chat here. Okay, so now, if you want to fill green in the map, you can use the paint bucket tool, or you can just use the pencil tool and draw it all in. But now I want to show you what we're going to do. We're going to use the hand tool right here. And if you use the hand tool, you can move your map. Okay, so we're looking at the top. Now we can keep going down and look here. And then what I want you to do is if you press the space bar, you can see this little grid shows up. I'm holding down the space bar. If you, so a couple people have asked how you zoom. And the way you zoom is if you look next to the M key, you'll see like the angle brackets. It's between the M and the question mark. If you hold down Shift and press those keys, it zooms in and out. The left one goes out, the right one goes in. But only zoom if you need to. I'd rather everybody just doesn't need to zoom right now because we're only going to make one screen of the map. So just use the hand tool. Yes, you can also use a scroll wheel if you have one. AG, for how to select a color on the map, you don't actually select colors. You just select which tiles you want to use, which sprites. And if you want to change the sprite, that's where you go to the sprite editor and you make your sprites. And then you can use those sprites to make your map. So I want you to see down here in the corner. Do you see how there's these coordinates down here in the corner? It says X and then a number and a Y and a number, okay? We're not gonna be making a moving map. So these coordinates down in the corner, if you move your arrow around, you'll see those coordinates change. So I want you to get down to where you see X is 0 and Y is 15, okay? If you hold down the space bar, you'll see like a little dot right next to that one, okay? And then I want you to draw all the way across like this. So it should just look like that. Whenever you see this grid, that means I'm holding down the space key. And then draw up like this. Okay, and I'm going to move this down a little bit. If you hold down the space bar and click and drag with your mouse, it allows you to move around. So now you can see I drew the extra pieces of walls here. And now I'm going to use my grass and I'm going to fill in this whole thing with grass. Fill it in, fill it in, fill it in. There we go. And then now I'm holding down the space bar and I can click and drag my mouse, click and drag the mouse, or I can just click on the hand button and move it around like that too, either way. Luke, what do you need help with? Okay, I'll make sure we go a little bit slower. Right now, all we're doing is we're just drawing this part of the map. That's all we're doing. So just to answer some questions here, in the sprite editor, that's this one up here, the little monster head. If you click on the little monster head, down here, this is where you can draw what you want to show on the map. So this is one tile, it's just all green. This is another tile, which is just, we're going to use it as a wall. And we just drew those two here. Okay. Then if you go over to the map tool, that's this one over here next to the little monster head. And if you click on that, that allows you to pick which of these sprites you want to use. And you can use the pencil tool and draw on the screen. And so you can pick this one if you want to draw walls, and you can pick this one if you want to draw grass. And we're just drawing a whole, screen here of grass. Now what I want to do is I just want to use the walls, and I'm going to draw like a little barrier like this. And then I'm going to draw another one over here. Just so I want two barriers here, so that we have something we have to, drive around with our snake. We have to, maybe loop around it or something like that. Luke, if you use this this sprite here, this is number 0, and you draw with that sprite, you can use it as an eraser. So you can draw over things that you already wrote, and like, let's say, oops, I didn't want to do that. I'm going to draw it over again with like grass, and then I'm going to go to my wall, and now I'm going to draw my wall again. So that's a way you can start over if you need to start over, is just use the sparkle tile and erase things. And then I'm going to use my hand tool here, and oops, I didn't mean to do that. I'm going to use my hand tool, and I'm going to drag up till I'm at the top here. And then I'm going to go back to my pencil tool. I'd say if you have a mouse wheel, you can zoom in and out with that. You can scroll like that. But if you don't have a mouse wheel and you want to zoom in and out, it's the angle bracket keys, which are right between M and question mark. You hold down Shift and press those keys, and it goes in and out. So now that was just answering the question, how do you zoom in? I'm going to type it here. Okay. And we're going to send that. Okay, so now you should have 2 answers in there that you can see on how to zoom in. Okay, so I'm going to use my pencil tool, and I'm going to draw 2 other little walls. Okay, so I'm going to use my hand tool, and you can see I've got a map that looks like this now. Again, if you're having trouble following along, or it's a little too fast, I really do apologize. I'm trying to make sure we go fast enough to get enough done, but go slow enough that everybody can keep up. But don't worry, because I still will be making a video for you to be able to watch afterward if you want to like go through at a slower pace and be able to pause it and all that kind of stuff. So don't worry, we will be covering all of this in the video so that you can keep up and you won't be behind for tomorrow or anything. Okay, so you should have a map that looks like this. Okay, and now we're ready to show it on the screen. Thank you, Aurora. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the code editor. Okay, so we go back to the code editor. That's the parentheses up here, and you click on that. And now if you remember, we have these 3 functions here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a picture of this on the screen. Let me see if I can get a picture of this, just so that I can put it over the other one. Just because I know, there we go. So we're gonna put that here. Oh my gosh, that looks awful. Oops. Well, that's not very good. That's not a very good picture, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay. Sorry, let's go back to here. So I'm going to go back to the code. If you want to scroll up and down the map, use the hand tool. That's this tool right here, the little hand, and you can click and drag your mouse around. But you have to hold down your mouse while you do it. Yes, I'll zoom out once so you can see what my map looks like. It looks like that. I zoomed out once. I didn't go all the way out. I just zoomed out once. So you can see it's basically just a big square with an empty thing in the top and some barriers here. When you're drawing sprites, if you want to draw a sprite color, that's over in the sprite editor over here. You just pick which color you want to draw and then use your pencil tool to draw on it. So if I want like a blue spot on here, I could draw that. Or if I want to fill this in with gray again, I can do it over here. And then, so you have to draw your sprites in here. And then in the map tool, that's where you can use the sprites to draw on the screen. So let's get this map showing, even if you're not totally done with your map and you want to add more or change it later, that's okay. Let's just get it drawing on the screen. So we're going to go back to the code. And what we're going to do is we want to draw the map. So we're going to do that in the draw function. So the first thing we're going to do is type CLS, which means clear the screen. And you have to put the parentheses. And we're going to say clear the screen so that every 30th second it gets rid of everything on the screen. And then we're going to tell it to draw the map. And we're going to use the map function. And what the map function does is it says take what's in the map and put it on the screen. So we're going to clear the screen, then draw the map. And this will happen 30 times a second. So 30 times a second, it's going to clear the screen, draw the map, clear the screen, draw the map. So I'm going to leave that there for everybody so they can make sure to type it in. Don't forget the parentheses here. And also don't forget that the beginnings of these functions need this little underscore at the beginning. And you do that by hitting, you do this little underscore symbol by hitting shift and then the dash key, which is next to 0. Shift and then dash, and that makes that little underline character. Okay. So if you've got this, I want you to hit, if you're on Windows, hit Control and then S, like hold down Control and tap S. And if you're on a Mac, hold down Command and tap S. And you should see it pop up a little thing on the bottom saying saved snake. So you watch, when I do that, you can see where it pops up on the bottom. So that saves your game. That makes sure everything doesn't get lost. Now, hold down Control and tap R. And you should see your map on the screen. And if it doesn't look perfect, that's okay, as long as you see the map on your screen. So if you can see the map on your screen, when you hold down Control and tap R, I want you to raise your hand. So again, if you need to, when you're ready to run it, hold down Control and tap R. And then if you see the screen, if you see the map, raise your hand. Great. Lots of hands are raised. Still have a few more left. So I'm going to give you a second. I'm going to hit escape so that you all can see the code again. But if you hit escape and then escape again, that goes into your code. But I'm going to leave this here for a sec so everybody can finish typing it in. And then I want you to run it with Control or Command R, depending on whether you're on a Mac or a PC. If you're on Mac, it's Command R. If you're on Windows, it's Control R. So I'm going to hit it, and you should see something like this. And if you see something like this, raise your hand. It just should be showing something on the screen. Okay, good. More hands. Awesome. And if you forgot like a parenthesis or something like that, it will complain at you. And I want you to know how to fix that. So let's say I forget a parenthesis here. Well, when I try to run it, it breaks. It says, error line 11. Okay, well, I can go look at line 11. And you can see what line you're on down here in the corner. And if you look at what line you're on, it will tell you, oh, line 11. Okay, I'm on line 11. Oh, I'm missing a parenthesis. Okay, put the parenthesis back in. That's how you can tell what to do when you get an error like that. Is it might not tell you exactly what's wrong, but it will tell you where the problem is. Okay, so I think we got to move on though, because we have a lot to do. The next thing we need to do is make a player. Okay, so I'm going to take a screenshot of this and put it on the screen so that everybody can see what code you're supposed to type in. Because I want you to be able to follow along. Okay, let's put this on the screen over here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we are going to, all right, so if it says syntax error near update, that, make sure you have end. After it says function update, make sure you put end. And then before you write function draw, it's really important. Aurora, if you want to see the desktop again, if you want to come out of full screen, hit Alt Enter. hold down Alt and hit Enter, or return on some keyboards, but it's Alt Enter will take it out of full screen, and then also we'll go back into full screen. Yes, Milo, we are. We're going to make the player, every time the level goes higher, we're going to make it go faster and faster. Luke, what's wrong with yours? Oh, how do you get the white things on the map? Which white things? Let me see. Which white things? Like these? Those are the walls I made. Again, don't forget, we're going to be making a video. I'm making a video to send to you with all this so that if you get stuck, you'll be able to keep up. Okay, so let's go make a player. So we're going to go to the sprite editor, and we're going to go to the first sprite up here, the one right after the sparkle, number 1. And we're going to make a player. So I'm going to make a really simple player using my super easy happy face, but you can make your player look like whatever you want. This is going to be the head of the snake. Okay, this is not going to be the whole snake. This is just the head. Okay, so I'm going to make my head this happy face. And remember, I'm in the sprite editor. It's up in this corner right up top here, the little monster face. So there's my head, and I'm going to give it some shading and some shine on the top. That's my snake head. Not very snaky, but it's a head. Then I'm going to go to the next one over. So I have my snake head here. I'm going to make the snake body. Now we only need to make one body piece because we're just going to copy the body piece in all over the place wherever we need it. So we don't need to make the whole thing. We're just going to make the entire thing is just going to be made out of this same piece. So this will be the piece that we use for the body. And I'm going to make it kind of look like the snake head, but I'm going to make it orange and brown, so it's like a little bit darker. Okay, so maybe I'll draw it like this. There we go. Okay, so now, so this is my snake body, this is my snake head, this is my snake body, this is my snake head. And you can, again, you can draw this however you want. You do not need to make it look like mine. It's your snake, not mine. Well, this one's mine, but okay. I hope everybody has their snake head and snake body done. They should just be right next to each other, side by side. Notice this one is in sprite number 1, and this one is in sprite number 2. I'm going to give everybody a minute to finish drawing it. Oops. Oh, did not mean to do that. Okay. All right. So now we're going to go add some code that starts adding our player to our game. Okay, so you should have 2 sprites. If they don't look perfect yet, that's okay. You can always go back and change them later. And don't forget that when you have black pixels, that will be see-through. So you'll see the map behind it if you have black pixels. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the code up here with the parentheses, okay? And then up here, do you see where the little plus symbol next to that 0? I'm going to click that, and that adds a new page of our code. We can go back to the original page, and then we can go back to this new page, okay? And I'm going to, this is going to be code about the player. So I'm going to type -- player. And this says to Pico 8, don't run this code, just let us see it so that we know what this is. And that's all. It's just a reminder for us. And then we need to make a function that makes the player. So we're going to type function make player. And you notice I put the underscore in between to kind of separate the words. I don't have one at the beginning though. That's just for the other functions, init, update, and draw. But this, to make it 2 words, I use make, and then instead of a space, I use underscore, and then player, parenthesis, parenthesis. And then I have to put end. And that's important to put end, okay? Because you have to have function and then end. And then anything in between there is part of our make player function. Okay, so now, do you remember yesterday we talked about making a variable that can hold lots of pieces of information. Okay, so this snake is going to be made up of lots of pieces, and each piece has its own list of information. Like each piece has how far over and how far down, and then we have the whole snake is made up of a whole list of all of those, you know, pieces. So again, this is what the snake head and body look like. We just had a question on that. So it's just these first two. And again, they're not, you know, they don't need to be fancy. They don't need to look like this. You can just make them look however you want. But you need one for the head and one for the body. Okay, so back to here. So if you remember, we have a way to make variables that store lots of information, not just one thing. Okay, so in the character sprite has to be, it doesn't have to be sprites 1 and 2. You can put them in wherever you want. You just have to remember where you did put them. That was a question. Do they have to be on sprites 1 and 2? Okay, so let's make a variable to hold the body. So we're going to name it body. And do you remember we use the curly braces? Okay. Curly braces are the shift key and then the key right next to P. Shift and then curly brace. And then hit enter and put the ending curly brace. And the reason we do that is because we're going to put all the pieces in between here. So this is kind of like a big hug storing all this information. Okay. So body equals curly brace, enter, enter, and then another curly brace, the ending curly brace. Okay. Now we need to list all the pieces. Now the pieces, like I said, they're just where are the pieces? Where do they go? And in this case, we're just going to make 3 pieces to start out. And we have to tell it where. And so if you look on our map, I'm going to zoom in on our map. Each spot on the map has a location, like X and Y, like how many tiles over and how many tiles down. So we need to decide where is our snake going to go? So I'm going to put it kind of in the middle. So I want to put one piece here. And if you look down on the corner, you see that number is X is 5 and Y is 8. So I need 5, 8. Then the next piece is at 6, 8. And then the next one is at 7, 8. So we have 3 pieces at 5, 8, 6, 8, and 7, 8. The first number is how far over. The second number is how far down. So that's why the 8's always the same, because we're just moving over this way. So 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So we're going to use those 3 spots. So I go back to here. And now we're going to make a 2-item list for each piece of the body. So I'm going to put a new curly brace, 5, 8. That's for the first piece. Then I put a comma, and then 6, 8. That's for the second piece. And then the third piece, 7, 8. There we go. So now this variable, body, is holding a whole list of 3 things. And each one of those things is its own list of 3 things. You see? So it's kind of like a list of lists, even though this second list is only 2 items long and the body is 3 items long. It's 1, 2, 3, and then each item is 2 items long. It's kind of a tricky concept, but you can kind of get the idea. This is how we're going to store the snake. We have to store each individual piece. So now we want the last piece, which we want this one. Now, if you remember, we can get, remember these are numbered. This is item 1, this is item 2, this is item 3. So we want this last one, we want item 3, but we always want the last piece of the body. And you can use the pound symbol to help us with that. So we can say last piece, so last underscore piece, that's the name of a new variable. And we're going to say that is, now if we said body 1, that would mean this one. That would be that piece, but that's not the last piece. That's the first piece. Second piece would be if we did 2, and the third piece would be if we did 3. But instead of saying 3, we're just going to use a special thing here. We're going to say pound body. And what that does is this says, find out how many pieces there are and give me the total of how many there are. So how many pieces are in here? 1, 2, 3. So this would be the number 3. And then we're saying, I want, you know, piece 3. So that's what we have here, body 3. Okay. All right, hold on one sec. Okay, so now it doesn't start at 0, Canyon. That's a good point. In some coding, the numbers start at 0. In the coding that we're doing, it starts at 1. But that's a very good observation. There are a lot of places where it starts at 0, but it does not start at 0 here. So this gives us the last piece. It gives us piece number 3. And then we want to say, we want to make a new variable. We want to keep track of where the head is. And the head is going to be the last piece. So we're going to say head x equals last piece, square bracket, 1. Now what that means is that in this last piece, I want the first number that's being stored. Head y would be, I want the second number being stored. So that means head x from the last piece is number 1, that's this piece of information. Number 2 would be this piece of information. So you can see we use last piece to get this whole thing. Then we use last piece 1 to get the first number of that one, and then last piece 2 to get the second number. This can be a tough concept to understand, and I'm going to make sure that there's a whole, that in the video, I explain that really well. But in this video, in the video that I see, I'll make sure I explain it. But you should just know that, oh, the square bracket, that's the key. That's the, someone had a question what the bracket is. That's the square bracket, and it's the curly brace without the shift key between, right after the P key. So what we've done is we've got the last piece, and then we got the first number from that and the second number, okay? And it's just important we need to know what those are. Then the last thing is we need to know what direction is the player heading. So we're gonna say PDIR, which is gonna stand for player dir as in direction. And I'm gonna consider that like this, like going this way is gonna be 0, going this way is gonna be 1, going this way is going to be 2, and going this way is going to be 3. What do you type in the last piece line? Oh, that's the hashtag symbol, the number symbol, shift 3. I'm going to type that here. Like a hashtag symbol. Sorry, that's a tough one to really tell what that is. Yeah, so it's shift 3 will give you this one right here. So we need to know what direction is this player heading. Well, I want the player to start out going this way. So I'm going to say direction 1. And then I'm going to put a comment here. I'm going to put dash dash. That way after this dash dash, the computer ignores it. So I'm going to say numbers, direction 0 means shift left. I'm doing that, that's shift L. The square bracket is the curly brace key, but without the shift. So if you did shift and then the key right next to P, it would make a curly brace. But if you do the key next to the P without the shift, it does the square bracket. So this symbol is done with shift L. So shift L will make a left-facing arrow. So we're going to say direction 0 is shift L. Direction 1 is right, direction 2 is up, and direction 3 is down. Now I do these by shift L, shift R for right, shift U for up, and shift D for down. And this is not code. This is just a reminder for me so I remember what these numbers mean. So if I say direction 1, I look, oh yeah, that's going to the right. But if I said this was direction 0, that would mean, oh, we're going to the left. But I want to start us going to the right. Okay, so this is our make player function. And let's just go over what this means, okay? So we make a variable called body, and it's going to, we can tell by the curly brackets that it's going to store several pieces of information. Each piece of the body is going to be stored in here. The first piece, the second piece, and the third piece. And each piece is its own set of multiple pieces of information. The first piece is holding two pieces of information, how far over and how far down. The second piece is how far over and how far down. And the third piece is how far over and how far down. So it's like a list of lists. This is a little list, this is a little list, this is a little list, and then this is a list of those all together. Then we make a new variable called last piece, and this is going to store the piece that has the head in it. And we're going to say, go to the body variable, and I want item number 3. Now, how do we know it's 3? It's because we say pound or hashtag body, and that means tell me how many things are in the body. So in this case, there were 3. So this will get replaced with 3. So we'll say body 3. Well, that means the third item of the body. So this will store the third item of the body. Then we make a new variable called head X, and that will say, make it the last piece, but I want the first number of the last piece. So that's this number. And then head Y, because Y is usually used for up, down, and X is usually for left, right. So head Y is a variable to store the second number of the last piece. Okay, so, and then we just say, what direction is the snake supposed to go? And right now we're just saying it should go in direction 1, which we've decided direction 1 means right. And that's our make player function. Milo had a question, will we make it so we cannot hit ourselves? Yes, we will. We will make sure. Luke, look next to your P key. It's the key right next to the P key. It's kind of underneath the dash and plus next to the P, and it's the same key you hit to get a curly brace, except you don't hit shift to get it. All right, so now that we have a function to make the player, we have to tell our game to actually go do this. Go do this code. Go make the player. And we do that at the beginning of the game, right? At the beginning of the game, we make at the beginning of the game, we make the player. The weird thing on line 14, these things, that's shift left, shift L, shift R, shift up, and shift U, and shift D. And those just are, this is a reminder. A dash dash tells the code, ignore this. So this is just a reminder to us. 0 means left, 1 means right, 2 means up, and 3 means down. So when we talk about what player direction, we're saying, oh, we want it to go to the right. And this is just a reminder for us. And then on this, the thing before those, that's just dash dash. Like, it's almost like minus minus, like next to the 0 key. And then, Dean, your question, what was next to, did you mean up here, like up here? If so, this is a curly brace, which is the same key that the square bracket is, just with the shift key held. And if you're asking about this, that means that's the hashtag symbol. The last piece spot, so that's this, that's the hashtag symbol, shift 3. Okay, so I'm gonna save this code onto the screen just so you can see it and you don't lose it, because I don't want you to get lost when we go to the next tab, because I know some of you are probably still typing this in, which is okay. I just don't want you to get lost with it. Okay, so let's go put this on here and put it over here. So that's what the code should look like for the make player. And now, if you go back to tab 0, in our init function, this is when the game starts, then we have to type make player, parenthesis, parenthesis. And this tells our init function, go run all that code that we just wrote. This says go do that. So we wrote all this code over here in tab 1 to make the player, but this actually tells the code, go do that. Go do all the work that we just wrote how to do. So at the beginning of the game, it will make the player. So Milo, no, we did not get to the part today that I wanted to get to where we actually make the player move, but that's okay because I'm going to include that in the video. So all of you will have a little bit of a homework assignment to do what we did so far right now, and then also do what's in the video. And what's in the video will make the player start moving, and that's really important. So now, right now, I want everybody to hit Control S or Command S, depending on whether you're on Mac or PC. Hit Command S or Control S. Yes, you're right, Kanan. You will not see a player yet because we have not written the code to draw the player. We've just written the code to make the player. So the game knows about the player, but it doesn't know how to show us the player yet. And that's what will be in the video that you will get later, because we did want to get to that. We just didn't have time. But we will get the player moving. So then tomorrow, what we're going to do, so you'll get a video that explains how to get the player moving. But then tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to add the little fruit that drops on the screen so that we can go chase it. Luke, does it say, so if it's not letting you save, then what I want you to do is this. I want you to hit escape one time, and you should see a blinking cursor like that, and type save snake and hit enter. And if it tells you to overwrite it, you can hit yes, that's fine. But if not, it will save it. And then if you hit escape again, and then you hit Control S, it will work. So I'm going to show you again. You type escape and then save space snake, hit enter. And if it says overwrite, then say yes, that's okay. Just hit Y. Yes, I will be sending the video. I will send everyone the video. All of your parents, whatever email address you signed up with, that's what email address will get the video. Okay. And all right, so Luke, just what I want you to do is I'm going to put my email address on the screen, and there's my email address. If anybody's having, yes, Sean, the video is mandatory. Luke, don't worry. See my email address on the screen? I want you to write that down and send me an email, and we'll get you fixed up right after this, okay? So don't close Pico 8, leave it open, but send an email to that address, and I will work it out with you, and we'll get it fixed up. But you'll get a video from me after this class, and it will have all the steps that we were going to do today. Tomorrow, we're going to learn how to drop the fruit on the screen, and then when we pick it up, our snake will get longer, and then we'll also add in making it so it gets faster every time we go up a level, every time we get a little bit longer, and we will also make it so that it keeps track of your score, and it keeps track of what level you're on and all that kind of stuff. A lot of cool, fun stuff. And we'll make it so that you can't run into walls and you can't run into yourself and all that kind of stuff. If you need to save and you already typed save, you can just hit Control S. So if you hit Control S or Command S on a Mac, okay? And Kanan, the way you lose in this game is if you hit yourself or you hit the walls. Otherwise, you can go as far as you can before you run out of space on the entire screen. And next week's game development class will be a little bit different than this one. We'll be doing a slightly different game. It'll be a little bit not quite as of a big game because we don't have as many days to do it as we do this week. Okay, so we do have to end off because there is another class coming up, but I just want you to know, if you had trouble at all, don't worry, you're going to get a video with everything we covered today. And even if you did follow along all the way up to the end and you got everything done, still watch the video because it has all the rest of the stuff that we're going to do today, including making the player move and stuff like that. Luke, don't close Pico 8 because I will help you right after this. Just send me an email to that address, dylanb@delphine.org, okay? And the video will be emailed to you later today. Okay, I gotta go, everybody. But so Luke, send me an email to that address and don't close Pico 8 yet. The rest of you, I will see you tomorrow. Watch out for the email that has the video, and then I will, Sean, I will show you, I will put in the video how to get back to your code. Okay, so I have to run. I'm sorry, everybody. I have to end off because we do have another class starting very soon. you'll get the video probably around dinner time, which is for me is in about 3 hours or so. And keep an eye out for it. It might be right after dinner time, maybe. Okay. Bye, everybody. Thank you for watching. Luke, don't forget to send me an email.